Right, keychain. The only reason I'm talking about keychain to start with is we had a bit of a ding dong between keychain and 1Password, amongst other things. And some of you love your 1Passwords, some of you don't. I personally have never ever used anything other than what's built into the Mac and the other devices, which is keychain. What does it do? As it says up there, it saves sensitive information on your Mac. It does passwords for website access, Wi-Fi passwords, mail passwords, security certificates, and it can also keep your credit and debit card info, which is generally speaking what 1Password and the other things do. It's just a convenient way that's built into the Mac and built into your other devices as well, your iPhone, iPad, etc., etc. It's all on there. It just makes it easy. If you need a password, you don't have to remember it. It's at your fingertips. First came about on macOS 8.6 years and years and years ago. And originally the keychain was only accessible in the account you logged into on the particular Mac you were sitting on. If you moved to a different Mac, the keychain that you were using, or even to a different account, that keychain is no longer available. What's changed with Apple is iCloud. When iCloud came out and they introduced the keychain in it, that keychain now sits in your iCloud account, which means each device which is logged into iCloud using the same Apple ID can share the information inside the keychain. And it costs absolutely nothing. It's part of the system. And it is secure. As you can see at the bottom there, you've got 256-bit encryption at the very least. Apple do not have access to your keychain or the contents of it. So personally, I'll stick with the keychain. It does what 1Password does, but I don't have to pay for it. This is probably the biggest question people have had. They set up some very secure passwords when it comes to 1Password. The only problem you have on the Mac is if your password to log into your Mac is very, very simple and easy to guess, then it would mean your keychain is insecure. And it would mean if somebody guesses your password to get onto your Mac, they've got access to your keychain and they've got access to a whole plethora of information that we've just gone through, your credit card details, website passwords, all sorts of different passwords. It's got your mail passwords if you use mail as well. But if you've got a decent password to log onto your Mac with, then as far as I'm concerned, it's just as secure as the way people would use 1Password. Conversely, if you use 1Password and you put in a very simple master password that other people can guess, then it's insecure. Anybody can get to it. So you pay your money or you don't pay your money and you take your choice. Does that make sense? Has that cleared up some of the 1Password versus keychain issues? Or has it just muddied the waters even more?
It creates a little bit of doubt. Many passwords are 4 figures, 6 laterally. That is nothing like as secure as the chosen password that you put in 1Password. You can change the password for a keychain to a complicated one, but if you've still got the easy access one, then every time you go to use keychain, you have to put in the complicated one.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. It depends on how you put the password in, what you decide to use. It's your choice. My password is good enough that I don't think anybody would be able to guess it. So I will rely on that. If I thought for a moment that password was easily guessed or worked out, I wouldn't use it. But I still won't move over to 1Password. I'm quite happy with the security of keychain. It's at the end of the day, this is a very personal thing, and it's up to each one of you which way you want to go, if either. The keychain comes with it. It works right from the outset, right from the moment you log on to your Mac. You don't have to go and set it up.
What you're saying is that the login for your Mac can be as complicated as you want. It's up to you. It's not, you're not restricted to 4 or 6 digits or whatever was suggested by the questioner.
That's correct. You can have as large or a smaller password as you like, and it can consist of any characters.
And once you've used that to get into your Mac, you don't need to use it again to get into Keychain, or do you?
No, you don't. You don't normally need to keep going in and going in. Okay. There are occasions when you do have to. It all depends on the context of what you're doing.
And if those occasions arose, it would still be the same.
It would still be the same password that you logged in with. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Martin.
But how do you access it?
Most of the time, you would not normally need to go into the keychain as such, because it's built into the Mac. Whenever you go to something which requires a password, it will offer to put the necessary password in. It will offer it to you. There is an application in the utilities folder, which is the keychain utility. That's not where it stores the data, but that is the actual application. You can run that up, go into that, and then you can search for various login details or all sorts of information that's stored in there, and you can extract the passwords at that point. But you don't normally, under normal circumstances, you don't go and hunt for the keychain. It offers itself in effect.
Yours might, but mine doesn't.
Can't comment, Monica, not without looking at it.
It's John Sharman. You set it up in the preferences in Safari. There's the preferences. I forget which one it is, and you just set the preferences up to automatically fill in the website data, and that will pull up keychain.
Yeah, it's not something I've ever had to do. Trying to think where you're going, John, and what would trigger that. You're normally, with most of these things, you are actually offered options on them the first time you come to use them. And it's been so long since we've gone here, I've completely forgotten how that came about. But for most of you, it's just a case of using it. And most of you will use it on in a daily basis whenever you log onto your Mac without even realizing it's there. But those of you who like your one password, that's fine. It's an individual's choice. So on that note, I'm going to move on. Screen you're seeing up there at the moment is iCloud as if you by logging on with Safari. You go to iCloud.com and you can log into your iCloud account and access everything in there. Move on. What is it made up of? What is iCloud? Well, these are all the bits that are part of it. Backups, photos, reminders, notes, Safari, Find My Mac and iDevice, contacts, family sharing, calendar, news, Drive, stocks, home, Siri, mail and keychain in a nutshell. Let's see if we can start by talking about what it is and what it isn't. The main thing it is, as it says up there, it's an information synchronizing mechanism. It allows you to synchronize information between devices. One thing it is not, and I come across this so often, and I've had a few clients with semi-disasters because of a misunderstanding. It is not a backup system. That is not what it's designed for, apart from the small print, which is for iOS devices. But for your Mac, it is iCloud does not back up your Mac. If you want to back it up and you want to do it very quickly and easily and without setting up all sorts of bits and pieces, just switch Time Machine on. Use Time Machine. That's the backup system. I think I know why some people get confused over it. If you use things like iCloud Drive, it means your documents are stored. Some of them will be stored in the iCloud, some of them on your local machine, and those which are in iCloud Drive will be stored on both. But we'll come into that in more detail later. So for anybody who thinks their Mac is being backed up because they've got iCloud, go out and buy yourself an external drive and start backing up properly before you have a disk disaster. Why would you use it? Well, as we said, it's for synchronizing things. With it, you can synchronize your contacts, calendars, notes, reminders, store and share photographs, and you can access documents across various devices. That goes back to iCloud Drive. Your Safari bookmarks and tabs can be seen by your other devices. And then we go back to a central keychain access. All of your devices, if they're logged in to the iCloud system with the same Apple ID, will have access to all of that information. And why would you use it? Well, the first thing is back up your iOS devices. It's very useful for doing that. If you're hooked up to iCloud, you're logged in. If you lock your iDevice, whatever that might be, iPhone, iPad, iPod, etc. If it's locked and charging, it will automatically back itself up to your iCloud. Going back into iCloud Drive, the files on your desktop documents can be available on any device, anywhere. One of the things with the file side of things, and actually even the contacts and calendars, if you don't happen to have any of your Apple devices with you or available, if you're out and about somewhere and somebody's got a computer with a web browser on it, doesn't matter if it's Windows or Linux or anything else, if you've got web browser access, you can still access your iCloud information, which is what we had on that very first screen. You saw the login there. You could see the iCloud Drive side. You've got the iCloud Mail, Notes, Calendar, Contacts. You can get to all of that stuff using any web browser from anywhere in the world. This is just a picture just to try and give people a better idea of what they're looking at. And I've put in there my iCloud area because everybody's got an iCloud. Everybody who's running iCloud has their own individual area, although it's running on Apple's servers. All of these devices connect into that one area and they share the information. If this MacBook here, for example, makes a change to a contact, that contact information is sent up to your iCloud area. Your other devices, assuming they're logged on, will then see that change and download that changed contact information onto each of the other devices. All straightforward and simple so far, I hope.
So you said if they're logged on, but if they're logged on at some point, not necessarily at
some point
where you make.
Yeah, this is the beauty of it, and this is what we'll get on to more in a little bit. If any of those devices is not logged on at the time that the first device pushes up the contact change, I'm just using contacts as an example. All of the various bits and pieces work in a very similar way. If your other device, one or more of your other devices are actually either not switched on or for some reason not connected to the internet at the time, what will happen is those contacts goes up to iCloud. When that other device or those other devices do get switched on, do connect to the internet, they will then talk to your iCloud area up on Apple servers. They'll see there's a change made and they will bring that change back down, whether it's a new contact, a change in calendar, a different photos appeared. It will do it automatically when it does connect. So there's no worry that it's it's switched off, so it will never see it. It will when it eventually gets switched on again. As you see, which is what we just talked about, it's contacts, calendars, reminders, notes. They all work in a very similar way. One device pushes up, the other ones can see it.
Mike, question.
Yes.
When you said about going onto any computer anywhere and getting into iCloud,
Yes.
would you be using your password that you use for your own computer?
No. What you'd be doing, you go to www.icloud.com, and when that comes up, it will ask for your Apple ID. So what you do is you'll type in the Apple ID associated with your iCloud account. And then when it asks for the password, you are going to put in the password for your iCloud account, not your local Mac login.
Got it.
Thank you. Safari, yep, you can synchronize your bookmarks. So bookmarks on one device will appear on another device. And you can also take a quick look at what web pages are being browsed on another device. If I go into Safari and click on the double square in the corner, there's my iPhone. It says there's a little bit gone on the Workshop Mac Mini. There's a little bit on my other MacBook Pro, but these are websites I've visited in my iPhone. And if I click on one of those, it brings it up on Safari on the machine I'm sitting on at the moment. And that's all done because of iCloud. Without that iCloud synchronizing system, I'd have to go and either remember what I've been looking at or go and search for it or save it somewhere else. Photos. Photos is much, well, very useful, I find, having photos synchronized with iCloud. Providing you turn the library on, the iCloud photo library on, you get photos again on one device, copied ultimately to another device. What happens if you've got your phone, for example, you take a picture on that, providing again, I'm going to keep saying this because I want to get past the confusion of how the thing works, providing you've still got you're using the same Apple ID for your iCloud account, it's got to be the same one logged on. Take a photo on that, it'll automatically send it up to your iCloud area. If you've got, when you come home, if you switch your Mac on, or whatever other device you've got when you get home, providing it's logged on to the same iCloud account again, and providing you've got photos set up in the same way that Photos actually wants to be part of iCloud, it will automatically download the photo. I'm going to go into some of the settings in a bit, and possibly I should do that on this particular one now. So if you go into System Preferences on your Mac, and you've got an Apple ID up here on the newer ones, on older versions of the operating system, you don't have this. What you will have is an icon down here that says iCloud. The information is pretty much the same. It's just, it's been moved around and added to a bit. So we clicked on that iCloud, on the Apple ID, and I've got photos checked. So that means my photos will be synchronized between this Mac and the iCloud. There's another thing to look at if you're having problems. If you go into Photos, I've lost it. There we go. If you actually go into Photos and you go to Photos, Preferences, pop that in the middle. There's an icon there that says iCloud. If you click on that, you've got another option there, iCloud Photos. If that's unchecked, you won't be synchronizing your photos between this machine and the iCloud. So if you've got problems with photos coming down, first of all, check that it's set in your system preferences. Then having done that, run photos up and make sure that's checked as well. While we're in there, what I've said here is the photos that go up are the original full size. And that is true. So you take a picture on your iPhone, sends it up to the iCloud, that sends up a full size photograph. Now you can have a problem with space sometimes if you were trying to synchronize photographs on all devices at their maximum possible resolution. If you've got, for example, a MacBook Air with 128 gigabytes of space on it as standard, I have seen people with tens of thousands of photos. If they were to try and synchronize those at full size onto that MacBook Air as well, and I've seen one or two people try and do this, they just don't have the space for it, so it can't do it. So what you can do, you can optimize the storage, which means it will still take the photo in full size. The photo will still go up to the iCloud in full size, but what you actually get on the local device is effectively a thumbnail of each picture. And it won't go full size until you decide to view that particular photo. If I go back into photos for a moment, and go back to the library. Now, each one of these is really a thumbnail in its own right. If you want the full photograph to come down so you can edit it and view it properly, I probably won't work on this, but if it's right, what would normally happen, you double click on it, it will bring it up full size into the photos window, and if it really is just a thumbnail at the time, you will see it looks like it's slightly out of focus to start with, and that's because it's brought up the full size picture, but it hasn't got all the information for it. Well, I've already done it with that one. If I hadn't done it, what would happen is that picture there would have looked like it was slightly out of focus, and then after a second or two, it would suddenly ping into full focus, fully sharp. That's at the point at which it's downloaded the full size picture onto the machine. But it's only going to do it for the photo you want to look at. It's not going to try and download every photo at full size that's up there. It's just the one you want to look at or the one you want to work on. And the way you do that is two ways, one of which again is in system preferences, and you can see from here, optimize the Mac storage. And it doesn't just apply to photos. In this instance, it applies to other files as well. And again, if it's got the space, it will quite happily download the full size documents or photos onto your local machine. If it hasn't, then it will keep a thumbnail copy locally and the full size copy up on iCloud. Photos, as we can see in the photos preferences here, you move it in the front, has its own thing to do that as well. So you could switch that on and off. If you've got plenty of space, you may want to click that and it will download the full size onto your Mac. I'm running a Mac Mini M1 here with 256, so I tend to let it optimize the storage itself. And the last bit that's down here, accessible in a browser. Again, if you go into a web browser, go to iCloud.com and log in, you'll be able to see all of the photographs that are up there, but it will be in a web browser. So normal editing isn't there. Another part of iCloud was Find My. This used to be Find My iPhone, it started off as. But since then, it's gone a lot further. So you can now find your iMac and practically any other device. It's been very useful when the kids lose their iPhones and you just play a sound on it and you try and home in with your own sonar-like ears. You've got a lost mode and you can remotely erase it. It's actually improved a lot now. It used to be that you could only find your device when you were looking around if it was actually powered up on another network. They've now improved that. It's much easier to find it. If somebody steals it, you're far more likely to be able to find it now than you used to be. Although we have found, even in the early days, a real world example is school I worked for had a bunch of children come over from France and stay with them, and it was boarding school. The children went back to France, and one of the children in the school, who was still in the school, couldn't find their iPad. So we logged into their iCloud account, went into the Find My Device routine, and found it on the map in the middle of France, or to be exact, in the boarding school in the middle of France, in the headmaster's son's bedroom. Ultimately, needless to say, he was for the high jump and the iPad was returned. So real world, it really does work. It really is a good thing. And that is switched on in your system preferences, or if you're in your iPhone, I think it's in settings, or it's in the iCloud section of your settings. And it's that one there, Find My Mac in this instance. Do check that. Absolutely no reason to leave it unchecked. You hopefully will never need it. It's not like your Mac's going to be hiding under the sofa, unlike a phone or an iPod. Well, at least I hope it's not. The options it gives you is to turn it on or off. And it will, as it says here, you can locate, erase, lock all of the devices. And this is the extra bit, Find My Network. This allows you to locate the Mac even if it's online, which you didn't used to be able to do. So it makes it even more useful than it was before. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I can't have everybody chasing around in the house looking for a device. We've covered this. I'm not going to go back into it again. When you sign up for iCloud, when you end up with some storage available. And I'm sorry to our American cousins, this is in pounds, but the chances are it's probably cheaper in the States, or do they do cent for penny? I suspect it's cheaper.
Might be 1-to-1.
It might be 1-to-1 even, but that would, yeah.
79 cents instead of 7. I mean, that seems to be the way with the UK, doesn't it?
Yes.
Just forget it's dollars and just charge them the same, but in pounds.
Yeah, well, let's face it, we're stupid enough to pay it. Right, iCloud. The iCloud storage. I've got our iCloud brackets plus. We are going to move into iCloud plus later on, but the iCloud and the iCloud plus storage cost are the same. There is no difference. And the first 5 gigs is free. As you can see, 50 gigs is 79p a month, 200, 249, 2 terabytes, 699. I believe it's possible to get 4 terabytes now. But the storage is where all the stuff you're dealing with goes. And it's 2 things, storage used. The paid for storage, assuming you went for more than the free, will store everything you can see on this slide. Your documents, whatever they might be, it doesn't matter whether it's a Pages document, a drawing, an Affinity photo file, whether it's a Microsoft Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, numbers, a file from an application that you've got that Apple doesn't know anything about. They will all go into the iCloud. They can all be saved on the iCloud storage. All of these things can as well. Everything that's there. And as it said at the bottom, some game info. If you've got saved games, they can go up in there as well. All sorts of information goes up. It basically doesn't care what it is. It's the only real criteria is the size. If you've got 5 gig free and you want to put up, I don't know, some huge movie that's 6 or 7 gigabytes, it won't go up. What it will do is to suggest that you may want to purchase some extra storage, which you can do anytime you want. The things that are here, are still stored up in iCloud, but they do not count against your paid for storage. So any apps that you purchase don't count against your storage, because the app itself is never really stored in iCloud. The only thing that might be stored in iCloud is the data associated with the application. Compared to the application, most of the time, that data will be quite small. Again, music, anything you purchase through Apple Music, it may be on one of your devices or more than one of your devices, but it's not counted as part of your iCloud storage. Movies are the same. You know, as you purchase them through Apple TV or the iTunes or anything like that. None of that counts against the paid for storage you've got. But occasionally you do need to manage your storage. And we're going to come back into the management storage and go through some of that in just a moment. But your backups from your iOS devices do count against your iCloud storage. It is part of it. And what gets backed up from the iOS device, as you can see, is the purchase history from Apple services. This, again, this isn't the actual movies, films, etc. This is just the information about them. Your photos and videos that you create are part of that backup. Your device settings go up there. Any of the application's data goes up there. Even your home screen and the way your apps are organized will go up there. This means that if you lost your iPhone, for example, or it was destroyed and you couldn't do anything with it, if you get a new one, you switch it on and it asks you, do you want to log in with your iCloud Apple ID? If you tell it yes, it will bring all of this information back again, including the home screen, whatever picture that might have been if it was a personal one, and where all the applications were organized. They will all go back the way they were. It's also going to store, as you can see, your iMessages, ringtones, visual voicemail, password. I don't think it does the actual visual voicemail. What it doesn't back up, as you can see at the bottom there, is data that's already in the iCloud, which is your contacts, for example, because it's already part of the iCloud system. Why would it back up your contacts from your iOS device when those contacts are already in the iCloud? What would happen if you were restoring your phone onto a new phone from your iCloud system? It will restore all the stuff we've talked about to start with, all of this, but it will then start to synchronize your contacts. And because you've got no contacts on that new device, it will bring everything down from your iCloud account onto the device. And it does the same with these calendars, bookmarks, mail messages, notes shared, anything that's shared. All of this lot will come back down again, but not through the backup. These things don't form this backup. You can consider the backup of your iOS device to be a blob that sits up in your iCloud area. It's not something you'll normally be able to see as such. It's not something you can get to. You can reference it, but it's not something you can grab hold of and play with, which is probably just as well, because if you mess that up and you lose your phone, you're in trouble. And then we're going to move on to iCloud Drive. And this is something which I've done separately to iCloud in the past, but we're going to try to push it all into one, which means I need to start another presentation. My presentations, as you can see here, they're actually stored in iCloud. We go back a bit, a few levels, back one more. There's my machine, iCloud Drive. And we've got Smug. So all of this, there's quite a bit of information. And I find this so useful, being able to go from one device to another and not have to think, where do I find that? iCloud folder, iCloud 4. Now to the new one, iCloud Drive. The nearest analogy most people would use for iCloud Drive, it's a bit like Dropbox. You are saving your files to the iCloud Drive, and you're accessing them from any other device anywhere in the world. And again, like the other parts of iCloud, you can do it from a web browser as well. Even if you don't have a Mac nearby, you can still access this information from other devices, but it's only in a web browser. What do you get? You get some file storage, and you can store any type of file you like, access it with a web browser, access it through applications. That doesn't mean just Finder. That means through things like editors, word processors, pages, numbers, photo editing software, all sorts of things. And you can still access the documents in your iCloud Drive from products like Microsoft's Office. You're not limited to Apple's applications. Once you're in there, you can create files, folders, subfolders, just as you would if you were sitting at your Mac. One thing we'll show as well is that an iCloud Aware app, something that actually understands iCloud, will have its own area. And you can actually see that by going into iCloud Drive. And if I change it to icons rather than a list, Text Edit's Aware, it's got its own icon. Numbers has its own icon and folder. GarageBand, Grab, Affinity Photo, not Apple, but it is iCloud Aware. Things like Microsoft Office are not iCloud Aware, so they will not have that. They will not have their own icon. Setting it up. And this, as you can see from this slide, this was an earlier version of macOS. This is the current version. So in this one, you would have gone into an iCloud icon in System Preferences. On this one, you go into your Apple ID and it's there, and you've got the top iCloud Drive. Okay, mine's obviously checked, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. And that's what you need to do to enable it. If it doesn't come up automatically checked, you need to tick that, and that will set up your iCloud Drive. As you can see, we are using it from Finder. I'm in the Finder here. There's my iCloud Drive. There is an extra bit in here we're going to go into, which is desktops and documents, and that definitely causes some confusion. Again, you create folders, copy and move files, save and load, edit files, and you do that, as far as you're concerned, as if you're actually on your Mac itself. You don't have to think that, oh, that's somewhere else, it's on a server over here somewhere. It's been made in such a way that it looks like it's on your machine. This is what you've got with drives. Files, as we said here, files are synchronized through the iCloud Drive. If I create a document on here, if I create a Pages document here, and I save it to my iCloud Drive, and it can either be directly into iCloud Drive in here. It doesn't have to be in a folder. As you see, I've got a file in there as well. So you can put files directly into the iCloud Drive folder, or into one of these folders, or a subfolder off it. One thing, go back a bit, right? So you save the file from here to there. If I was on my iPhone or iPad, when you go onto your iPhone or iPads, you'll see there's an icon in there that just says Files. if you click on that, you could then see the file that you've edited from your Mac. You could see it on your iPhone through the iCloud drive. And it works in the same sort of way that the other things do. It doesn't automatically download the whole thing straight to there ready for you. What happens is you'll see a thumbnail of it, you'll tap on it on your phone, and it will then download the file that you can either edit or view. Now, you can view practically anything on the iPhone. You can't edit just anything. You do need an application to do the editing. So if you've bought an application that runs on here and you save the file up to there, but the application is not available for your iPhone, you won't be able to edit that file. You may or may not be able to view it, and that depends on what the file is and whether or not the iPhone has sufficient understanding to at least show you the file. And that will vary from application to application. As far as I'm aware, all of the Apple applications, all of the Apple files will be viewable on the phone. Or I've not yet come across one that won't. Doesn't mean there aren't any that it can't. I'm not aware of any. There is a bottom line.
Mark, can I just make a point? You said it doesn't recognise Office applications on the drive.
No.
It does on mine.
No, that's not what I said.
Right.
What
you said
I said
it recognised Affinity.
No,
it does the same with Excel and PowerPoint. As far as I can see.
What I said was, or certainly the version of Office I played with, does not recognise iCloud Drive as a particular thing. It will save to iCloud Drive because it just looks like another folder, another drive, another folder, so it doesn't care. But it doesn't actually. If I let me show you something in here. Let me go into Pages, for example. And you see I've gone into Pages, just ready to create a document. If you look at this left-hand side here, in Pages, we have a Pages folder where you can actually click on, and all of my Pages documents are available in there.
Yep.
Now, whether a newer version of Microsoft Office can do this, I don't know, but the earlier versions certainly didn't have their own icon. They didn't recognize it. It didn't Office and Apple between them didn't recognize each other. So you could save the file wherever you want in iCloud Drive, but it wouldn't automatically give you its own section. Now, are you saying that the new versions actually will put in Office or Word in there?
Yes, where as you say, you look down there and the drive, and it's got keynote numbers. After numbers on mine comes Office. If you open up Office, it then splits into the different parts of Office.
So what version of Office are you running?
Whatever the latest one is.
Well, that's either 2019 or 365.
Yeah, I don't know. I subscribe to it, and I mean, I've never actually put things in there. I've got folders on there that have got Excel, PowerPoint, and I noticed that on looking where you look, I can see one that says Office.
Right, then that must be because you've got 365, because I'm running Office 2016. Well, I'm not so much running it, but have to use it to help people out. So I'm running Office 2016 and it doesn't recognize it. So that must be in 365 or above. Maybe even in 2019, but I haven't played with 2019, so I couldn't comment unless somebody else can. Okay. Bottom line I put down here, because I've had people get confused with this, and this is something, your files will never be synchronized directly from one device to another using iCloud. iCloud doesn't hop from that machine to that machine or from that one to that one. Everything has to go up through here. This is the central point. This is the focus of the whole iCloud system. It's this middle bit. All of these hook into this middle bit. Without this, these devices won't synchronize anything. Yeah, I know there are ways to do it with other products, but this is just iCloud we're talking about. So without this bit, there is no synchronization. And we did touch on earlier, if you send your contacts up, for example, you change a contact, if a machine is switched off, will it get it? Well, yes, eventually. The same happens with files. If you're saving a file up there and this iPhone's switched off, you've created that file, it's gone up. When you switch it back on again and you go into the Files app on your iPhone or iPad, it will then see that new file. It will see the new stuff available when it connects back up. One of the things people have also had problems with, just because you're not connected to the internet doesn't mean you cannot see any of your files that are on your iCloud system. You can. If you've already accessed a file on the iCloud drive, so let's say we've put new file has gone from here to there, this machine is switched on, so it's aware of it, it's connected to the internet, it is still aware of it. If you tap on it in here, click on it here and open it up, you can edit it, close the file, quit the app, switch the machine off. Go somewhere else, switch that machine back on. You've got no internet access for whatever reason. You're in a completely dead spot. The house you're in doesn't have a landline. You can't get to it, so you can't edit your document. Wrong, you can. When you go back into that machine again and switch on, there will still be an iCloud Drive icon over this side. It'll probably have a little lightning bar inside it because it's saying, I haven't got access to the internet. I can't see what's going on. But the file that you edited is accessible on this machine. It's still there. What happens is when you access that file with this laptop from here and you went to edit it, it brings a copy down and it hides it inside your machine. That means that when you've gone off somewhere and you've got no internet access, if you want to edit that file, you can, because there's a copy of that file on your local machine. When you save it, it saves it to your local machine. Don't worry about where it goes. It is there. When you reconnect to the iCloud Drive again, it will then start to sort itself out and it will save that file back up again, which is then available to the original machine and anything else. Most of these file synchronization systems work the same way. Dropbox does. It allows you to edit things locally, and then when you connect, it will put them back up again. It does mean you're using more storage than you think you are, because every file that you bring down to edit, there is a copy of that on your local machine as well as on the iCloud Drive. So you can run out of space if you're not careful. We've had one or two people they've got iCloud Drive, they've got Google Drive, they've got Microsoft's OneDrive, they have Dropbox, and they did have the BT equivalent of all of this, whose name escapes me. Was it BT Yahoo? I can't remember, but there was a BT one as well. I've had one chap with a very large disk, absolutely full, and his complaint was, well, all of these stuffs are up in the cloud. I said, well, they are if you've got them thumbnailed, but they're not if you've been editing them. You've got a local copy as well as the copy up in the cloud system, and they all work the same way. They all work with a local copy as well as the copy that's up there. This is the bit that often confuses people with iCloud Drive, the desktop and documents feature. Some of us find it useful, some people find it confusing. When you switch it on, well, normally with your Mac, if you were to look across here, if I go to the home folder, that's a home folder. There's a few extra bits in there, but in the main, we've got these. What you would normally have in here as well, and it's conspicuous, they're conspicuous by their absence. Without the iCloud drive and without the desktop and documents set up, you would normally see a desktop folder in here and a documents folder in here. But because I've gone in to my system preferences, selected iCloud drive, clicked on options and ticked desktop and documents folders. Because I've done that, my desktop and documents folders now reside in my iCloud space, okay, with iCloud drive. With desktop and documents switched off, you wouldn't see this little thing here that says, this little heading that says iCloud. You've got a favorites heading up there. Here I've got an iCloud heading. If I hadn't switched that on, that desktop would be up there and that documents would be up there, part of the favorites, and those folders would still be in my normal home folder. But because I've switched it on, I've got this arrangement. Okay, that allows me to see my desktop and documents folders on any Mac that I have logged into my iCloud system with the same Apple ID again. It's got to be the same. Now,
Mark, just a comment. Even if you don't have that switched on, you will see that iCloud heading in the Finder.
interesting. You didn't in the early days.
Well,
My problem I've got now is I've had this switched on since it first came out.
Right. Well, I don't use it, and it whether you have that switched on or off, you still see that heading.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was the slightly older version of setup again. Carry on. These are the extra bits you get under the iCloud heading. As saying earlier, these two would have been up in here normally. You can still have it as a favorite. I don't tend to with mine. That's a choice. But you get these two under the iCloud heading. So you know when you see this with these, your desktop and documents is in the iCloud. But again, those files are stored locally, like I said before, so they are accessible even if you haven't got internet access. And if we go back to iCloud Drive, as we said, that's the center of your iCloud world, really. This is your iCloud Drive world. It's in there. Everything is in there. And you can create, if you want to create a folder, it's the same as if you were working. I get a new Finder window. There's my downloads folder. This is my normal. This is downloads. It's just on my normal Mac. It's not part of the iCloud system. I can create a folder in there. New folder. Test. That's my new folder. You do exactly the same in here. iCloud Drive. I want a new folder. So you just do your file, new folder. Comes up the same. Test. Treat it. You can treat it exactly the same as any other folder on your Mac. It is, to all intents and purposes, the same. This is an attempt at trying to give you a picture of what your Mac is doing and what you're actually looking at. And this is what you've got. Here's your Mac. Doesn't matter whether it's a MacBook, iMac, Mac Pro, or whatever. Normal system. Macintosh HG is on here. There's your home folder. All of your stuff should normally come off your home folder, and you'd normally have pictures, music, movies, downloads. And if we hadn't got this bit, you'd have documents and desktop as well, all coming off your home drive. There's a normal external drive. That was almost certainly a USB drive plugged in. When you set up your iCloud drive, it's this bit, and that's what it refers to. So it actually looks, iCloud drive itself, both here and when we look across in here, it looks to all intents and purposes and behaves like another drive. But it's a bit of a hybrid. It can look like an external drive, but it behaves, and it is effectively an external drive because the stuff is up on the cloud somewhere, which is, you can't get much more external than that. When you work with it, whoops, gone too far. When you're actually working with it though, you treat it like it's a local drive or a local folder. When you drag files to and from an external drive, as we state here, the default action is for you to copy the file either to it, to the drive, or from the drive. When you do it from iCloud, the default action is to move, which is what the default action is on here. So if I go, for example, I create another new window and just go to the home folder, just by way of an example, as my home folder. If I take the test folder I created in downloads and drag it across to my home folder, it moves it across. So it's moved from the downloads into the home folder. If I hook up an external drive, now this is a NAS drive I happen to have on my network. If I want that folder over there, take that across. Thank you. That's just made me look stupid, but that doesn't take much these days, I must admit. So if I go into general, I've got a few things in there. Let's try that again. You can see I'm now copying it. Okay, so to a normal external drive, whether it's a network-based drive or whether it's a USB type drive that's plugged into the back of your Mac, because it's external, it will tend to copy. And with iCloud, it behaves like an internal drive. So here's my home folder. Here's the test folder. If I put that over there, it moves it rather than copying it. It would if it wasn't. So let's try that again. If I take, oops, if I take this one.
You have an alert you have to answer, Mark. Stop or skip or replace. At the top of your screen.
Hang on, I know why I can't see it. I've got blinking. That's it. It was hidden by the bar of pictures of people. Because I was looking and thinking, why isn't that there? Thank you. I'm glad you could see it because I couldn't. All I've got is thumbnails of other people. But yeah, so that would do a move and replace. So you can see now it's moved the test folder from my home folder and replaced the one that was there into the iCloud system. So you treat it like an internal drive and an internal folder system. Same goes if you take one of these and drop it into the trash. That item in the trash will be visible on my other Macs that are hooked up to the iCloud until I empty the trash, at which point it's emptied from all of them. Just talking briefly about iPhones, iPads, there's the icon you're looking for called Files. And inside there, you can see desktop documents, and then you've got pages, and all of the folders that I've got here will be visible to my iPhone or iPad as well. And just tap on it and you go down the folder hierarchy. I'm not going to go into this aspect of it because there's quite a bit to it. This is just trying to give you the concept of it and hoping that by the time I've finished, I haven't confused you even more. But the desktop, going back to the desktop and documents, when you're looking here, click on that desktop. You've got, there's the Hewlett-Packard one, and there's my desktop. That is the same file, exactly the same file. Same folders as well. If I was to go onto my main MacBook, which is also hooked into the same system, these files will also be available on there as well. They won't all be necessarily available in the full size. Again, you need to bring them down. As you can see, I don't know if you can see this, but there's my view, where are you? View options. If I bring the size up a bit in there, I wanted to show you was this one. Well, it's brought the size of most things up, but not the icon I want to show you. There is a very small cloud under this. It says Suffolk Max letterhead ... Underneath it, there is a cloud with an arrow pointing down. What that tells me is that I have access to that document, but it's not actually on this machine at the moment. It's currently still up in the iCloud. So it's still up in the desktop folders on my iCloud drive. If I double click that now, it will bring the actual folder down. So that's just a thumbnail. And that's what I was talking about earlier, having the thumbnails down here, but the real thing up in the iCloud until you want to use it. Let's just take that. That's better. I was talking earlier about applications that were aware of the iCloud drive. This is one example I did once before, which shows pages in use. And as we were just talking about Microsoft Office earlier, that can do it now as well. Because it's aware, it shows that you can put it into the pages folder, which was in the iCloud drive as we showed here. So there's a load of pages documents in the pages folder. And you could go straight there. Equally well, you can save straight into the documents folder in iCloud. If you do an automatic save and your normal save is into documents, it will, even if it was in your local documents folder, if you set up iCloud Drive, it will save it into the documents folder on your iCloud Drive by default. This was the earlier version of Microsoft, which would quite happily use the documents folder in iCloud Drive or anywhere else in iCloud Drive. But at the time when this version was produced, it wasn't aware. You didn't get Office up there, it didn't know about it as such. It just treats it as another folder, and which is nothing wrong with that at all. It's completely correct.
Mark, I've just opened up the drive on an iPhone, and the cut off in the top right corner has the cloud and arrow down in it on the iPhone for downloading your documents from iCloud Drive. The ones that are complete are obviously on the phone already.
Yes, you're right. The completed ones, yeah, anything that's already down there, you'll see it full. But again, you will get the cloud with the down arrow if it's not there.
That's right. It's in all those triangles, up right, top right.
Yeah. Also, the other aspect of this, if you create a document, you will, to start with, see an up arrow going up, and with a size. What that's telling you is that it's got X bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, if it's a huge file, that will be going up to the iCloud to be synchronized. And yeah, said before, copy and move files normally. People covered the trash. Yeah, the trash files do take up space on all the Macs until it's emptied. That's the one thing I don't think it thumbnails is what goes into the trash. We covered most of this. I think no internet connection, they're stored on the local device, so it's always available. But again, it is always available, providing you have actually done something with the file. The only time you will not be able to look at a file if you've got no internet access is if that file hasn't already been worked on that device. So if you've got the cloud with an arrow coming down and you've got no internet access, you're still not going to have access to that file, unfortunately. You then need to get your internet connection working. And that's the one you really don't want to see. That was the iCloud drive with the lightning bolt inside it. There is no connection. We have lost the connection. Houston, we have a problem. Already touched on this. We created a smug folder and it's showing us that it's got 1.1 megabytes to go up. Over the next few seconds, if you've done that, you'll see, like from here, it's now come down to 643 kilobytes. That number will go down as it uploads to the cloud, or tries to. I think I did that on purpose, disconnected, so I had time to actually take a capture of what was going on. Otherwise, some of the smaller files have gone up so fast, you've missed it. By the time I've got screen capture up and running, it's all happened and gone. I've missed it. The other thing you'll notice, you've got a circle there with which looks like a pie chart. That's an indication of what's going on. As things go up and down, that will go round and fill up. And let's see if I find something not local, but from here. Let's see if I can give you an example. If I come away from pages, iCloud Drive, and like an idiot, I deleted the test folder, didn't I? So put it straight in there. I'll take this file. This is on my external drive. So if I take that, drag it up there and let go of it. Oh, come on, it can't be that fast. Yeah. And now you can see, can you see the circle there, which should be going gradually round and round. Let's see if I can find the file. Where have you gone? Acronis True Image. Here we go. It's going up. It's got another 690 odd megabytes to go, which is why that's relatively slow. If you hover over that, click on it, you can then watch it go up. When I hovered over that, you can't see, because I've increased the size of the pointer to try and make it easier for people to see where I'm pointing. When I go over that, you can't quite see it, but it turns into an eye for information. When you click on that, you get a progress bar of what's going on. So you've got the circle filling up, or you've got the progress bar. Close that and just let it go. There we go. That's what we were talking about. And if you've got no access, you should normally see this waiting to upload. Once you get the connection back again, then you'll see the numbers start to tumble. iCloud arrow, which we covered, that's your cloud with the down arrow. If the file isn't down already, that's what you see. That was iCloud Drive in the proverbial nutshell. Out of that, I'll go back into where I was.
Mark, can I throw a question at you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Chris Frank asks on chat, my iPhone 11 Pro running iOS 14.7 keeps putting my apps up on the cloud and I have to keep downloading them again. How do I stop it doing this?
Good question. Keeps putting them up.
Yeah, it keeps on taking them away from my my phone and just putting them up on the cloud. So if I'm out of, if I happen to be out of access to the cloud, then I can't use those apps.
You've lost them because they've effectively, because it's gone up and there's no internet connection.
Exactly.
So it's actually working completely in the reverse to the way it should.
Yes,
I'm assuming you've not run out of space on the phone.
it does happen sometimes.
Because if you're very, very short of space, something like that could happen.
Right, but is there no way of me it telling me that I run out of space earlier rather than deleting all my apps?
No, I think the only thing you can do is to have a look at how much space you've got. Go into the iCloud and the storage. Go into your phone storage and see what's there and what's left.
Sure.
Just to start giving you an idea of what.
Sure.
what
Well, I
might
do
be
that,
going
but
on.
it's really annoying, you know, and it could be it could be a life and death situation if I get stuck in the middle of nowhere with no access to maps or other things like What 3 Words. Do you know that app?
Yeah. Chris, can I interrupt for a second? Anne McKay has very kindly just posted in the chat box an Apple link that she says it is a feature. Does your iPhone keep uninstalling apps and how to stop it doing it?
Brilliant.
So
thank you very much. That's great.
Okay.
Okay, can I make a comment?
Of course.
My husband's iPhone relentlessly would give him the message that he's running out of space, to the point where he did upgrade to a 50 gig account. So it does happen. It can warn you, but maybe in some instances it doesn't. But one of the comments I'd also like to make is that if you do not have iCloud Drive, desktop, and documents turned on, I would be very careful if you do. And I would also be very careful if you turn it off, because it will do and make some changes on your computer, which you may not be ready for if you do not have enough storage space in iCloud Drive, in iCloud, period.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Mike, I have a question.
Yes.
There's Alan. I'm very good at not understanding the obvious.
Join the club.
And so my question is, what with Apple Mac people that invent everything, what do they consider is the benefit to you and I of having iCloud and iCloud Drive?
Right, okay, yeah. iCloud itself, let's forget iCloud Drive just for a moment. iCloud itself, you are using to synchronize various bits and pieces, like your contacts, calendars, photos, and all that sort of stuff, just those bits. The iCloud, as it sits normally, doesn't share documents. You're not synchronizing documents like Word docs, pages, numbers, anything like that. You're only doing the specific things like we've got up here. Ignore that top one. So you can synchronize your photos, your Apple Mail, your iCloud Mail, that is, contacts, calendars, reminders, just what's in this list. Okay. If you want to be able to share or synchronize documents across devices as well, then you need to switch on iCloud Drive. iCloud Drive, it's a drive. It's like a disk drive. You treat it like another disk drive. Does that make any more sense?
It's getting there. Thank you.
There's also the benefit of iCloud, where if you do have photos, mail, contacts, calendars, and all of that selected, when you get your new iPhone, all you have to do is log into your Apple ID, and all of that information comes to that new iPhone, and you won't have to enter all of that information in manually.
Yeah. It's much simpler. Family sharing.
Mike, sorry,
Yes.
I'm beginning to get something. I'm not sure if it's right though. So in iCloud Drive, documents, for example,
Yes.
it doesn't synchronize documents to other things, to other, phones, other computers that you've got.
It will if you log in with the same iCloud Apple ID and you make sure that iCloud Drive is switched on that other machine as well. You've got to have it switched on the other machines. If you've got two Macs, for example, one of them, you go into the system preferences here, you go into the Apple ID and you've got it ticked. That will share its files up with iCloud. If you go onto the other machine and that is not ticked, it will not see iCloud Drive. It will not see your files in iCloud Drive. You have to switch this on in each device that you wish to use this.
Right, and what's the benefit of that?
Well, the benefit is that if you're somebody like me and you're out and about on client sites quite a lot, any notes or documents I write while I'm out on my MacBook, for example, when I get back into the office and I go onto the Mac, I've immediately got access to that same file. If you're just an individual and you're not doing work, you're not worried about going out, and you don't need access to files all over the place, then iCloud Drive is probably a complete and utter waste of time.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I'm beginning to. I mean, Apple are not quite daft. They wouldn't do two things if it wasn't necessary.
No, it's one of those things. It's not for everyone. It's like people installed things like Dropbox because they wanted to share files, not necessarily with other people, but they wanted access to their files from whichever machine they happen to be sitting at. If you're never going to be sitting at another machine and you never want access from halfway across the world, then, as I said just a few seconds ago, there's no point, absolutely no point whatsoever.
Thank you.
I can have a question. It's John here.
Hi, John.
Going back to just plain iCloud and reminders, just recently, my reminders have not been syncing between devices, and I see that somebody else has asked almost the same question about that being a very slow feature, if you like. I just wonder what's causing it.
This is the biggest thing I see going around about iCloud and systems like this in general, is that my XYZ part of 1, 2, 3 doesn't synchronize anymore. What do I do? There's very little you can do. There's no, it's not like a normal applications where you pop into the preferences and you untick this one and you check that one and you check something else out. That doesn't exist. These things in general are either on or off. And the horrible kludge that works most of the time for most people, if one part stops functioning, is to go into your preferences, untick it, come out of preferences and leave it for a few minutes, go back in, tick it back on again. 9 times out of 10, you'll find that the thing comes back up again. Something's gone wrong inside the mechanism that makes these things talk to each other. And because you can't change a setting, you can't go in and rewire it effectively. Your only option is that horrible old, if it don't work, switch it off again. And in very rare cases, we've had some people sometimes have actually had to log out of their iCloud account completely, leave it for a few minutes, log back in again, and then things start to work again. I don't like it. It's not my way of working. But when there's nothing else there, there's no other tools to play with. unfortunately, that's what you have to do.
Sure. I'll give it a go.
Mark, it's Mark. No need to stop right now, but it is after 9 o'clock. So if we might,
You mean it's gin time?
I wish.
Okay. Yeah, there isn't an awful lot more to do. We're almost at the iCloud Plus bit. So I'm only going to very briefly touch on family sharing. But again, yeah, it's all in there, and I've got up in here. Oh, I've lost it. But I've got family sharing turned on so that, and I did have it for the children, although we're gradually pulling it away because, quite frankly, they can spend their own money on these things now. But with the family sharing turned on, you can share your purchases, as in your apps and the such like. You can actually share your iCloud storage, which I have done. I've had the kids with various files put into my iCloud storage. Not anymore. Locations can be either shared or switched off. You don't have to share these things. Calendars, music, all sorts of things can be shared. I think it's with up to 5 people normally, 5 family members. And if you've got younger children, you can limit what they can purchase on your credit card. They can try and purchase, but without your approval, they can't do it. So, as I said, I just wanted to touch on that. There is more to it, but just to give you an idea of what you've got.
Jan Bramford, sorry, Jan Bramford has a raised hand. Jan, would you like to ask your question?
Jan, you need to unmute yourself.
I said it could wait until the end if you want to let Mark finish first.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Oh, just as a by-the-by, I've got your email working.
Oh, excellent.
But more on that over the next another day. Right, just to bring it a little bit more up to date, Apple One, because I'm sure a question was going to come up about this at some point. If you subscribe to Apple One, it includes iCloud space. Okay. And again, the storage depends on what your subscription is. And as you can see, you've got individual, family, and Premier. And depending on how much you pay, depends on what you get and how much. Is again all UK based. They're probably the same in the States. Individual membership, $14.95 a month, and you get music, TV Plus, arcade, and 50 gigabytes of iCloud storage. Next level up is the family one, which is the one I'm using. Or you can go to the top one. And you can, as I did, as much an experiment as wanting it, because actually it's cheaper to have Apple One than it was the various subscriptions we were running. You can go for the Apple One trial and you don't lose what you already have. Because one of the questions I got asked very early on, so I decided to bite the bullet, back up my entire iCloud system, and then jump into Apple One to see what happened, knowing that if it all went pear-shaped, I've still got the information elsewhere. As it happens, you don't lose anything. If you want to move from iCloud to Apple One, or if you want to, perhaps I should really be saying, if you want to go to Apple One, but you still obviously want to retain iCloud, this is what happens. If the iCloud storage in Apple One is greater than your current iCloud storage, your current plan will be cancelled and you'll receive a pro rata refund. Okay, that's it. Because the Apple One storage is greater than the iCloud storage, so your old one's cancelled, you've got more storage. If they're equal to your current plan, then during the trial you keep both. And I found this intriguing because when I signed up for the trial, just to give it a go, instead of 200 gigabytes available, I got 4, which I thought was quite amusing. I thought it was a mistake to start with. I thought, what's going on? They made a cock up here. Once I accepted that I didn't want the trial anymore and it went full, it then cancelled my normal 200 gigabytes of iCloud storage, which then left me with 200 gigabytes of Apple One storage. When you go the other way and the Apple One storage you want is less than your current plan, you get to keep both. So you get more storage than you would have had before, far more. But the main crux of this is whichever one you choose, you will not lose the contents of your original iCloud. I didn't lose anything, and that wasn't because I did a separate backup because I went paranoid. It's how the system works. When you make those changes, everything that's in your iCloud and everything that means everything that's in your iCloud drive will still be there once you've subscribed to Apple One. You are not going to lose it. That was the end of the main iCloud. One thing that with the Apple One, one thing I have come across, which I haven't had to deal with, some people, I don't know if they do now, but some people used to have an Apple ID for their iCloud system, but they would have a separate Apple ID for iTunes and the such like, for their music and their movies. You can still move to Apple One if you want. What it will do though, it will only let you move, I hope I get this right, it will only let you move using the Apple ID you use for the media and purchases, which is basically the App Store and your iTunes type, your music and your movies. That's the one that will happen. There is a mechanism, and I haven't gone into it, but there is a mechanism after that where you can move the iCloud storage with the Apple ID to the new Apple One system. Please don't ask how it's done. I haven't looked into how it's done. I just spotted that there could be a problem and Apple have made it so that there isn't a problem. So if anybody's got separate ones, and you want to go thinking of going to Apple One, I would suggest you go into Apple support area and do a query on that first, and they will be able to take you through one step at a time what you need to do. But again, if you follow those steps, you are not going to lose anything. And finally for this evening, finally, you'll be glad to know I'm going to shut up fairly soon. iCloud Plus. Oh, no, almost finally for this evening. And I just remembered something that came up before. And it was on the board about aliases. And I had to play with aliases in iCloud Drive. And it may be me, it may not, I don't know. I couldn't see the problem myself. So that's what we've got in there. Okay. So I've decided that I don't want to go iCloud Drive and then into the Honda folder. I want the Honda folder effectively on my desktop. And the easiest way we'd normally do that on your normal Mac, forget it's iCloud Drive, is to create an alias. So click on that, create the alias, make an alias. Off it goes. I now have an alias to the Honda folder. If I drag that onto my desktop, I can now go straight to the Honda folder in my iCloud Drive. Now, the interesting thing with this is that Honda alias is actually still in my iCloud Drive because I've got desktop and documents on. So it's actually part of my desktop. Okay. If I create myself a new window and go to my home folder. Now this home folder is actually on the Mac itself rather than in iCloud. So if I now drag that to here, And it says, are you sure you want to remove Honda alias from iCloud Drive? Well, actually, yes, I do, because I don't want the alias on the desktop. I want it in here. This is just an example. This could be anywhere on your machine. It doesn't have to be in my home folder. So if I double click on there, I've now gone directly to the iCloud Drive into my Honda folder. So what I was seeing on the board was that people were saying that there was all sorts of hundreds of files being transferred. And as much as I've played with this alias system, I cannot get it to do anything odd on my machine. So I can't answer the question about what's going on and why isn't it working, because I can't get the thing not to work. So I'm really not sure what was happening there, but I just wanted to show people that you can create an alias without having thousands of files being copied. And on that note, I will go back to where I should have been before, and on to briefly into iCloud Plus. Play in a window. Right, what do you get for iCloud Plus? You get the private relay. You can hide your email. Storage for secure video for your HomeKit. And access to all of the iCloud Plus side of things to people who are part of your family sharing. The one requirements are iOS or iPadOS 15 or macOS Monterey. It doesn't work on anything earlier. I'm going to go into private relay first, as this is one of the questions that came up that was pushed my way. What does it do? Protects your privacy while you're browsing with Safari. And from that, as it states, no single party can see both what sites you are visiting and who you are or where you are. All the web traffic, including your DNS requests, they are encrypted. DNS, if you're not familiar with it, is the dynamic naming system. It's a system that translates the names that we understand, like www.apple.com, to a series of numbers, which could be 172.68.30.5 or something of that nature. So the computer uses the numbers. We prefer the names. We have enough trouble, or I have enough trouble remembering names, let alone the numbers. And I've also been asked, and a lot of other people, from what I could see, have been asked is, oh, it's a VPN. No, it's not. This is not a virtual private network. That is not what it's there for. So I came up with a diagram. There's your web browser in your Mac, okay? You make a request to a website. Let's say it's the BBC, www.bbc.co.uk. That request is passed through your router to your ISP, and normally it would be then sent off and requested from the website and the information brought back. That's it. This end, when you've done that, knows what your IP address is here. This end would be your public facing IP address. That's the IP address that the whole world can see. They can't see any of the IP addresses on this inside, not under normal circumstances, but they can see the one that you're popping out from. So they have an idea of where you are. And unless the website's secured, other people can see the content as well, and the location, and the DNS request that goes out would be plain text www.bbc or whatever it was. And again, that's easy for the ISP to see, for anybody in there to see, and for this end to see. When you turn on the private relay, Safari still makes the request, but this time it's encrypted the DNS request, so that unless you know how to decrypt it and read it, you've no idea what it says. Now, at this point, the DNS is encrypted, but the IP address is still visible. So that gets sent through your ISP. Your ISP is still aware of your IP address at the moment, but it doesn't know the content of the website you wish to visit. So it doesn't know where you're going to go. What happens is that request gets sent into the internet and directed up to a relay held by Apple. This is an Apple relay, okay? It then takes the information you've got here and passes that information onto a second relay. This second relay then creates a temporary IP address on your behalf. It also decrypts the DNS request, so it knows where to go. So that request for the contents of the website is sent on to the web server. It comes back up to the second relay. The encryption is maintained. It is then returned all the way back up here to Safari. So this end doesn't know, the ISP doesn't know that you've gone to this website. The ISP does know the IP address. The website doesn't know the IP address of here, but it does see an IP address generated at this point. So it's basic obfuscation. It's just hiding things up. And I tested this earlier. I sent off a request using the private relay, and I know what my external IP address is. It's a static address. It's always the same. It does not change. And there's a simple way to tell what the external address is or what the other end thinks it is. There's a site you can go to, which is whatsmyip.org, and it would tell you what it thinks that IP address is. And if I use it with the private relay off, when I do whatsmyip.org, it goes off to the website, comes back again, and it tells me what that address is, which is always the same. When I put the private relay on and do the same thing, it came up with a completely different address that was not mine, and that was generated by this second relay. This second relay is not Apple. This is a third-party relay. I don't know who they are, but Apple obviously has some deal with them of some sort. So it generates a different IP address, which means this website can't track me back using my IP address to here. It doesn't know where I am. I could be anywhere in the world. Now, if I stop this for a moment. I come out, go back in, rather than mucking around, because I've now lost the one I wanted, networking 2. Here we go. Right, the VPN system. Now you saw in the other one, we just had Safari, okay? That's the only thing it's dealing with. If you have a proper VPN system or VPN client, all of your web traffic, whether it's Safari, Mail client, or something else, will go through the tunnel to the opposite end. Everything's encrypted. With the private relay from Apple, it is only internet, it's only web access traffic. It's nothing else at the moment. Whether they will increase that, whether they will actually allow other traffic through it, I don't know. At the moment, it's just web traffic. This system allows it to go anywhere. And your ISP doesn't know your IP address. Nobody knows your IP address. It's hidden in such a way. Everything that goes down this VPN tunnel is encrypted. Nobody under normal circumstances popping into any of this can see what you're doing or where you've been even. Right, popping back into iCloud Plus. So that was, in a nutshell, another nutshell, your private relay. So it's, as I said, it's just for web browsing at the moment. I don't know if it's going to increase. Who knows? Hide my email. Well, as it says there, it just creates a random email address. this is what the outside world would see. This is what another website would see, and the information can come back to your own box. It means you don't have to actually set up a completely different email account. You're hiding behind some oddball email address. It's just a way of staying private or staying hidden. HomeKit secure video. I've got no way to play with that because I don't have any HomeKit CCTV. I have a completely different system. But as I said, you can securely record and view your footage, and it's saved to Apple systems, and it's only from HomeKit connected cameras. But the beauty of it is, considering how much video you can store, I don't know if there's any limits on this or going to be any limits, but none of the video that you store from that HomeKit CCTV counts against your iCloud storage, which is just as well, because you can hit hundreds of gigabytes very, very quickly. How much Apple will let you have, I have no idea. Yeah, as you said earlier, family members can share what's in your iCloud Plus plan. They can use the same features if they're part of your family sharing system. And that should be that then. And I hope that made some sense, at least to some of you. I hope it wasn't quite as clear as mud.
Ah, fantastic. Thanks very much, Mark. If that big glass that you've been drinking from actually contains gin, you have my deepest respect.
I wish.
No, that was really comprehensive, and thank you very much indeed. Gosh, we've run on late today, but a lot of people have stayed to the end, so obviously of interest to many. Thank you, sir. Fantastic.
You're welcome.
Explanation again. And folks, thanks for sticking with us, and we look forward very much to seeing you at the end of next month.